Hey, before we jump into the list, I want to clear something up. When people say a degree is useless, that sounds pretty harsh, right? But it's really about comparing how many people are graduating in a field versus how many jobs are actually available, plus things like salaries and whether the work could be automated soon.
Yeah, and I think it's important to underline no degree is completely worthless. Sometimes it's all about what you do with it, your personal drive, or the connections you build. Still, if you're starting from scratch with no family resources, some degrees definitely put you at a disadvantage.
Exactly. So this isn't about shaming anyone's choices. It's just a reality check for students thinking about what paths are most sustainable or competitive in the job market.
That's why we need to talk about the tricky balance, pursuing your passion versus making sure you can actually support yourself. Let's dive into some examples people might not have considered risky.
Let's start with philosophy. Unless you're heading for a career in academia, a lot of philosophy grads end up in completely unrelated fields, like business process outsourcing. Not a bad gig, but probably not what they pictured when enrolling.
What's wild is you see the same thing with library and information science. Even before the pandemic, libraries here were shrinking or going digital, so the demand for librarians was already low. Many grads pivot into admin roles just to land a job.
Honestly, it must be tough spending years specializing in something, then discovering your best option is a general office job. Makes you wonder how much research students do before signing up.
That reminds me, I've met people who went into those degrees out of pure love for the subject, which is awesome, but they were shocked by the limited career paths. Sometimes passion projects end up as side gigs instead.
So, moving on, anthropology and creative writing are two more degrees with a tough job market. For anthropology, unless you land a spot in a museum, research firm, or international NGO, it's a struggle to find steady work.
And with creative writing, the irony is that you don't even need a degree to make it as a writer nowadays. Anyone can freelance online, so the competition is massive, and the pay can be super inconsistent.
Yeah, I've seen people with creative writing degrees competing for the same gigs as hobbyists who just love to write. It's a tough space if you're hoping for guaranteed income.
Honestly, unless you have a backup plan or family support, turning those passions into a stable career can get pretty brutal, especially when rent and bills start piling up.
That actually leads me to theology, hospitality, and mass communication degrees. People often don't realize just how packed these fields are. There are way more graduates than jobs, especially in hospitality post-pandemic.
That's so true. For hospitality and tourism, unless you're in a top-tier hotel or cruise line, most graduates end up in entry-level positions or even unrelated roles. And mass communication, traditional media is shrinking, so unless you become a YouTuber or influencer, it's a tough climb.
It's kind of a double whammy. Industries are shrinking just as more graduates are flooding in. Plus, salaries aren't keeping up with the cost of living. You really have to hustle or branch out into new media to stand out.
I've seen people pivot to totally different industries, like marketing or admin work, just to make ends meet. The dream jobs are out there, but they're rare and competitive.
Let's talk about criminology and fine arts, which surprisingly top the list of so-called uselesses degrees. Every year, there's a massive oversupply of criminology grads, but law enforcement jobs hardly increase.
Yeah, and if you don't get into the police or military quickly, career growth is pretty much stalled. With fine arts, it's even trickier unless you're building a name online or freelancing. Making a living is tough. Art supplies alone are expensive.
That's a huge wake-up call. The job market is shifting toward tech and healthcare, where demand just keeps growing. If you're picking a course now, it pays to think ahead about which industries are actually expanding.
Totally. I love that passion courses exist. But if you're starting from zero, practicality has to be part of your decision. Maybe combine what you love with a skill or certification that's in demand.
So, after all this, the big question is, how do you balance following your passion with making sure you'll have a solid career? It seems like more students are asking that now, especially after seeing friends struggle post-graduation.
I've actually talked to a few grads who wish they'd double majored or picked up tech skills on the side. Mixing passion with practicality seems like the sweet spot, especially with things moving so fast in tech and healthcare.
Maybe the key is to stay flexible, pick up certifications, learn new tools, and don't be afraid to pivot. The job market can be rough, but being adaptable makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. And for anyone still choosing their degree, it pays to do your research. Look at job trends, talk to people in the field, and think about how your skills can transfer across industries. Your dream job might just need a little tweaking to become truly sustainable.